Oh my God. I love you have
Okay.
a co-host today. All right.
I do.
That's
All
so cute.
right.
Okay, are you ready? Are we ready?
We're ready.
We're ready, Natasha. I love that you have a co-host today. She looks so
I
cute.
know. Do you want to know? We actually have matching hoodies. I have the same one. It's ridiculous. I'm that person.
Oh my God. How is your boxer doing? By the way, this is Natasha's dog. If you guys want to see the video, you just need to go to Ms. Pink Monster on YouTube and
Yes.
watch the video. What's her
Oh,
name? I always forget. Oh, I know.
June. This is
June.
June. Junie B. Jones is her full name, but
Junie B.
she's
John.
always all over me. So I
Oh,
was telling you, like, our heat is out. Our furnace gave out last night. So I have space heaters everywhere. I bundled the kids in like footy pajamas and blankets. And this one had to sleep under the covers right on top of me. If I
oh,
ever get a man, it's going to be a problem. I don't know where he's going to sleep.
wow. She's a really attached dog.
Yeah, I know, which is unusual for such a big dog, but she's thinks she's a lap dog. All right, you
Yes.
can go now.
She's okay. Maybe she needs a friend. I don't know.
Oh God, no.
Yeah, right. You're like, no, I can't. No, no, two dogs. All right. So, like, welcome back, right? We were gone for 2 weeks. We took 2 weeks off. People were wondering, they were like, where's Natasha? What are we doing?
I
When are
know
you
I
guys getting
loved that
back?
that comment you posted on your Instagram stories. Like, are you guys coming back? It's like, yay, do you want us to come back?
Yes, yes. Oh, you guys are missing us. We like that.
I'll take that.
So I thought today we kind of would talk about two things that sort of we were thinking about over the break. One being, it's interesting and I'm really curious because I've been following it and then feel like there's such a connection between this whole Prince Harry talking about all the royal family and, because they are a business, right? Going into all the details about the business of the royal family and how it's spilled over. And there's really not a family anymore because it's driven by the business and how toxic the business is. So we wanted to talk about that, like how the Prince Harry story correlates to you and I telling our stories about Peter, AKA
Mhm.
Kane, and, toxic work environments. And then, the other thing is you have a story about, it was like a mom story, right?
Oh
I
my
don't know
gosh, I got in a
where we
total
want to
mom
start.
fight, and I dying to know your advice and everybody's advice about how do you handle it when to step in when your kid is another kid's being mean to your kid.
Oh my God.
You'll see
Natasha,
when
I want to hear
KJ gets
this.
older.
Okay, I know. I want to hear this because I am so not prepared. In fact, because I think I'm so not looking forward to a confrontation with a parent so much. Like I'm almost a little removed even from his little daycare. And they
Oh,
and actually I have a parent dilemma too I want to run by you. Let's start with our parent dilemmas
okay.
and then get into it. So I let's hear your story because this is a fear of mine. I'm like, oh my God, what am I gonna do when I hate
It's
a
bad. It's bad. So, Sam and Sophie are 12 and 14, almost 13 and 15, which is insane in and of itself. So, and they're girls, so they have teenage girl drama with their friends. And I try not to get involved. One, because they would be so embarrassed and mortified if I ever said something like to the other child or to another parent, they would murder me. And also because, they need to learn how to deal with this stuff on their own. Because in the real world, mom's not, well, mom is going to be there to fight their battles still, but still, they should probably learn how to handle it in
well,
real life.
and when you're then when you become 24 and your mom's like involved, that's kind of getting socially not acceptable. It's like, you know what I mean? They do have to, yes, they need your guidance. They need you right there now. But then at some point, right, we want them to be beautiful birds that fly on their own and they're going to make mistakes and they're going to navigate and they got to have a voice of their own and advocate for themselves. So it is a hard
Exactly.
fine line. Right. Okay. Keep
Exactly.
going.
So I try to stay out of it. And then what I do is behind the scenes, because they come to me and tell me all about the girl fights. This girl said this and this drama happened with this boy. And can you hear the dog? She has a zoomies. She's going insane with a squeaky toy. But so if you hear
No,
squeaking,
I
that's
didn't
it.
even, okay.
All right, good. It's a good microphone. Um, so I try to like tell them, be compassionate human beings, be empathetic, try to think about the other person's perspective and apologize when necessary, but also don't, stand up for yourself. Don't let anybody run all over you. So that's usually how it works. And then they handle it on their own. However, this last weekend, and I'm not going to say which girl it is because if she happens to listen to this, maybe she'll kill me a little less for talking about it if I don't say her name. But she had drama with a friend and she came upstairs hysterical in tears. And, you know, when your kid's crying, it's just like you want to jump into action.
Oh, man.
Hysterical because this girl was just being awful over text. She said that, you know, my daughter called her a bitch at school, which I can tell you, this child in particular is terrified to break rules. Like she won't even say stupid or shut up because I don't like those words, much less actually curse. She would never ever do it. That I'm sure of. She's no angel, but I know that didn't happen. So this girl's spreading rumors saying that she did this, and she told her in the text, like, she was so dramatic. She goes, "You have caused me 365 days of pain." It's like,
What? Okay, this is so teen
drama.
drama.
Yes.
Okay, please,
And so
please.
that's like over the top drama. But then, you know, she kept going and my girl apologized. She's like, "I promise I didn't say that, but I'm sorry it hurt you." You know, everything she's supposed to. And in real time, she's showing me the text and I'm guiding her on how to respond to, you know, de escalate the situation. This other girl wasn't having it. She just kept going and she was telling her how all the other kids in their friend group hate her, how they cry themselves to sleep at night because they can't take how awful she is. So it wasn't just about the one, but then when she was trying to isolate her on top of it from the rest of their friends, I was like, enough, enough. So this is where I'm not sure if I made a mistake. The moms of this group, I knew laughing, right? The moms of this friend group and I are on a group text because we organize, you know, sleepovers and get togethers with the girls because they're always hanging out. So one of the moms had asked if we wanted to have a sleepover, and I hadn't answered yet. So I got on the group text and I was like, "I don't think the sleepover is a good idea because this child is absolutely tormenting my daughter, and I think they need some space." Probably should have just addressed it one-on-one with the other mom, but I was fuming at that point. I was like full mama bear mode because this girl was just being awful. Um, and the other mom responded and she was like very hands off and like laissez-faire about the whole thing. She's like, "You know, I don't get involved. I leave them to decide which friends they're going to be with and how they're going to handle their friendships." And I was like, well, this is on the verge of bullying, and perhaps our differing perspectives on what is an acceptable behavior from our children is why our daughters have different perspectives on what is and is not okay
Wait.
behavior.
Are you saying all this over the group?
Yeah,
Like,
I said this on the group text.
oh, okay.
Yeah, I said all this to the other mom. And she came back and said that my daughter called the other girl a bitch in the group text. She put this out there. So I took that as like, okay, gloves are off. If you're going to call her out specifically, I'm letting it all out there. So I listed off all the things that her daughter has done to mine over the last year, because this has been going on all school year.
And we're still on group. We're still on group.
We're still on group. I mean, this kid has even teased mine about her not having a dad. Once she went, "Bestie doesn't even have a dad," and like laughed it off. So just like cruelty. So I let it all out in there. And then the other mom, she just goes, "Due to the tone of these comments, I don't believe there's anything more I can do." And she left the group chat. I know. And of course I didn't let it go there. So then I texted her one-on-one. I was so mad, Sarah. Okay. I could not, because then I'm like, "You're just blowing it off. I've made you aware of all these awful things your kid has done, and you're just blowing it off." So I texted her one-on-one and said, I was like, "You know, I think that saying you're just going to do the tone, you're not going to do anything is a cop-out. And if you don't do anything with your daughter, now that I've made you aware of specifically what she's done, nothing is going to be learned from this and nothing will change." And she never responded. I haven't heard from her since.
Oh my God. I love it. Everyone listening to this can so relate on so many levels.
I never should have done it on the group chat. I did apologize to the other two moms. It's like, "I'm so sorry." And they both wrote back nice messages, you know, so I don't think they're mad at me. I hope I'm not kicked out of the mom group now, but Oh my gosh. I don't know. What would you do?
Okay, well, here's my 2 cents. And I want people to weigh in because I'm curious, because maybe people agree with you. Look, I found this. I never do anything over text. I call people. I just don't. I don't
Oh,
do
that's mature of you.
I don't want to. But I've learned this the hard way. And actually I've learned this at Fox 5. Like, and I think a manager actually there told me about this because I would avoid any sort of conflict or whatever, or like disagreement. So I would send it in an email. And I had one of my bosses say to me, I think they came and found me, and I like at my cubicle, I was like sweating, I'm sure. But he was basically like, can I just give you a piece of work advice? And I was like, sure. He's like, don't, anything that's important to you or like makes you feel a little uncomfortable but you care about, he's like, don't write it in a text, don't write it in an email, come and talk to the person. Because everybody just thinks that you're more mature doing that, you're better communicating, the context gets lost over text. And look, yeah, I mean, yeah, I think you should have called her. It's but
No, that's good
I've been
advice.
there.
I'm like shrinking even more now.
No, don't. There are no mistakes ever in life because you just learn from them and you just get better. Don't beat yourself up. I have just found, and I hate talking to people, but at the end of the day, I find like if you talk to people, there's always a resolution. Like I bet, I'm
Yeah.
sure she really values your friendship. She sounds completely conflict avoidant. She doesn't want to get like so I think if you'd called her, she probably would have backed down and she would have been like, yeah, maybe we should talk to our daughters together. I mean, her daughters probably is a bully because the mom's not, giving her any guidance, right? So I'm sure the daughter has done all these things to your daughter. And the girl might be just an awful little kid anyway. And your daughter wants nothing to do with her, right? That might be the resolution. And the mom might be that way too. But I do find I hate it. I hate calling people. But I find that when I do it, this sounds weird, but I actually end up getting what I want out of it more. And I mean that in the way of like, I get a better resolution.
That makes total sense because you're able to, text is so subjective. You can't tell the other person's tone or innuendo. You take things wrong. And honestly, I probably didn't call because maybe deep down I didn't want a resolution. I was just pissed off and wanted to. I can't attack the other kid, so I can attack her mom. And I probably wanted to shame her a little that I did it on a group text. So yeah, and nothing good came from it. It's been completely awkward since then. But if I had called her, we probably could have hashed it out like mature, responsible adults.
You should still call her, still try calling.
No, I know, I'm just too mad.
Well, let yourself calm down. I do that too. Have you learned this over the years too? I try to give things a day. Like
Yeah.
some things you have to address immediately, especially if like anybody's in danger. There's not, but like I find like things like that. Sometimes I'm like, give it a day. Let's all like sleep it off and see how we feel the next day. Do you do that?
Oh,
Or
yeah. I mean, obviously, I didn't do it in this situation, but that's some of the best advice I got actually in an AA meeting when I was in recovery. Was I remember a guy telling me or sharing in a meeting, when you get a text or an email that just like makes your blood boil, like it really affects you on a deep level, don't respond. Even if it's just 10 minutes, just like take a beat before you respond. And that's actually come in really handy in dealing with exes, like, my ex and I now, when something, is really pissing me off or I feel really defensive, I just wait a day because the earth isn't going to end if you don't respond right in that minute. So I didn't take that advice this time, but that's actually advice that I usually try to follow. But man, mess with my kid and it just brings out this insane side of me.
no, I think we all feel that way, right? And that's something I'm not looking forward to because we know all of our kids at some point are going to be on the outs. They're not going to be in the in crowd. They're not going to fit in every situation. They're not going to succeed in every, and it's like, oh, it's so hard to not get in there and want to like yell at all the other children and their parents.
Oh my gosh, it is. It's so hard. It's so hard to know when to get involved, when not to get involved. And I mean, the one thing I guess I've learned about parenting is I'm probably not going to make any huge mistakes that they end up in therapy over later on as adults. And I have the best intentions and I'm making the best decisions I can as they come. And that's going to have to be good enough. And it probably will be good enough as long as I take the time to listen to my kids when they come to me. And course correct, when you get it wrong, because you're going to get it wrong. But
Totally.
oh my
But
gosh, parenting is so much harder as with teenagers than it is with toddlers. Let me tell you.
I know I'm not excited. What did your mom do when you were in high school? Like, was your mom hands off? Was she hands on? What happened?
I mean, she was my mom's advice anytime I even was talking to her this morning about this and telling her about the whole thing. And the advice she always gave me when I told her about Mean Girls, I remember because I told you once I was like really hairy in high school. I was this little Latina, tween with all these white girls. And I remember the girls would make fun of me for that and be like, I'm going to bring you a razor to school tomorrow. And I would go to my mom and tell her and be like crying. And she would always say the same thing. They're just jealous. They're just jealous because you're prettier than they are. I was like, Mom, that's not helping me. No advice on like how to cope or what to do. It was just always, they're jealous. She still says the same thing to the girls.
I feel like my mom would probably say that too. Oh my
What
God.
did your mom do when you had Mean Girls?
Well, okay, I'm trying to think. Let's see. Well, I used to talk shit about this girl on the bus, and then she confronted me once and like shoved me, and the whole school was watching and was going to have a fight. But I mean, that was my own fault. Like I do talk shit, so I mean, I was like, oh, this is really embarrassing because she could have totally kicked my ass. So that was a good lesson in. You better not talk shit about people you don't think you can beat up because you can't, and I can't beat up anybody. So my mom was like, that's your own damn fault. Why are you talking shit about this girl on the bus? Like, but I think the only part, one time I was on a basketball team and I dated the basketball coach's son, and then I broke up with him and he benched me for the entire season. And in hindsight, I wish, and I think I was like 17. Yeah, it was because I was a junior in high school. I wish my mom had made me or gone with me to talk to the coach because I was going to quit, right? But my mom went to him and she was like, hey, obviously you're showing favoritism because, Sarah and your son broke up. And like that, I think it was a cop out. Like I should have gone with her.
Really?
Well, I think, yeah, because
It would have been a good life lesson.
Sets you up for conflict avoidance. Then it's like, oh, well, somebody else say it. You say it, and I should have and I mean, what was he going to say? He wasn't going to say, oh, no, he said exactly, he would have said to me probably what he would have said to my mom, which was, no, and I mean, he's right. Like I wasn't a very good basketball player. So he probably would have been like, she's not that good, but I think it would have been good to do it myself, But again, your girls are a little younger. I mean, I was 17 heading to 8. Like to me, 17 is a good cutoff. Like, okay, guys, we got to start. You got your driver's license now. Y'all got to start getting out there and, speaking up for what you want. But no, the hardest part, when I was little, I was fat. And so I was bullied and my mom said it was awful. Like I would come home and cry, like these other girls were mean to me about my weight. And she said it was really bad. And I did get away from those girls and I never looked back. And and I think they did reach out over time to sort of apologize. And it was weird. I never accepted the apology, which was kind of lame, but I don't know. I guess I just thought, I don't know. I had no connection with them. So I never.
I'm surprised they reached out after years later. They must have been really awful.
They were twins. And
oh my gosh.
And it was kind of like the three of us. So it was always sort of 2 against 1,
Mm-hmm.
And it was just a bad dynamic. But so I don't know. It's hard. It's hard. Yeah. In high school, the couple times I was bullied, it was my own fault. And then but yeah, I do think it's important. Yeah, I think you handled it. You handled it the best way you could. And so you never know. There might be a chance to right the wrong, or maybe this girl's just really mean, and maybe the resolution is your daughter shouldn't hang out with her.
I'm okay with them just staying their separate ways, but it's hard because they're all in the same little clique. So I don't know what to do. I mean, I'm so lucky that like with Sam, she hates girl drama, so she's very independent. She knows who she is, and she kind of has the attitude of, if you like me, you'll be friends with me, and if you don't like me, then you won't be friends with me, and that's fine because I am who I am. Whereas, with Sophie, she wants to be with the in crowd and she wants everybody to like her. And
Oh, it's a hard spot to be
tough.
in. I know.
It's tough. I feel like she's like, this isn't going to be the last time. It's going to be a tough road for her with friend dynamics and wanting to be cool and wanting to be popular.
Oh, well, I'm with Soph. I like that too. I'm always I've always been like, but that's kind of my personality. Soph probably has that personality too, like an outgoing. And like, if you're a likable person, people do like you. I mean, but you're never going to be it to everybody. That's what you have to learn. And I've definitely been like when I went to college, I never really fit in at college because I always wanted to be like on TV or a radio DJ, and everybody there was smart. And, it wasn't like I was not in the in crowd, but it didn't click, so you kind of have to get used to that too.
Yeah. I was never with the popular girls, and I don't think I really wanted to be. Like, I think I was intimidated by them. And then by college, I was in a sorority and stuff, and I kind of just accepted that I'm never going to be the homecoming queen or the president or any of that stuff. And I set my standards lower, and then my standards were met.
Worked. All right, wait. I got a question for you. Would you be irritated about this? So the daycare that KJ goes to, we got an email over the holiday, and they said, okay, we're requiring parents, and they claim that they had this policy before COVID, but it's been stopped for like 3 years. We now are reinstating a policy where the parents have to volunteer 20 hours a year at the school, or you have to pay this additional money. Okay, thank you. Your
what?
Face. Yes. Or they basically like $20 an hour times 20. So you can either pay that fee or you have to volunteer.
Paying already for your kid to go there?
Yes. Do you think this is crazy? I said to Schman, we need to email the director of that. This is insane. We have to work. Like
and that makes no sense. We're paying you to take care of our kid, and you're requiring us to work for you. Is basically it. Is it a really small school? Is that why they're doing it? Are they just like really understaffed?
They don't seem it. I mean, they seem like they have the adequate amount of staff. There have been some staff changes. We've only been there how long? 4 months, maybe. So maybe they are really struggling with staff. But I'm like, this is one that I gave a day to, and I was still pissed off. And I was like, we're writing them back. I think that's absurd.
No, that's insane.
We live in one of the most expensive cities in the world in Los Angeles. Do you, and Dan's like, well, it's only, when you break it down, because they're probably going to have you do like 3-hour chunks, it's like 5 days or something, and I'm like, yeah.
No, that's insane to me. I have never heard of, we're going to charge you more if you don't come and volunteer your time. Yes. I mean, they always ask for, parents to volunteer, and I'm a stay-at-home mom, so I've done the room parent thing and all that stuff because I have the time, I can do it. But that's insane. If you have 2 parents that are working full time, you now have to take off of work to go and work at the school that you're paying to take care of your kid because you are working.
Okay, thank you. I agree with you wholeheartedly. And the thing is, like, if I like children that much, I'd be working in a fucking school. I don't. I mean, I don't want to be around all these kids. I talk shit for a living. I don't want to be like what? Thank you, Natasha. I am gonna. Okay,
I would love to see you volunteering in like the little pre-K classrooms. Story time with Sarah.
Oh my God. Okay. All right, kids, we're gonna do math. 2 margaritas plus 2 margaritas. How many?
Equals how much of a hangover?
I thank you. I think that's ridiculous.
You know what? Maybe that's what you should do is just go in to volunteer, be a total train wreck, and then they excuse you. They never want you back. There's your out. And you'll get some good content out of it too.
Totally should. All right. Thank you for that. Okay.
No, that's nuts. That's nuts. Private schools drive me nuts. That is really insane, but they're always asking for money too. I feel like I'm constantly getting emails, come to the bingo night to donate money as for a
No.
fundraiser. And they have parents, and the parents at the girls' school are like really aggressive. They will call you and email you, being like, we'd really like your donation. Like, do you know how much money I have to pay to send my kids to this fancy private school? Why is it not enough?
It's almost like the more you pay, the more they ask. It's just, it's
Yes.
so, isn't it? Isn't it? Why? And you're not the only person. It's funny. I actually think this is a topic for us that we should do this show. I had a woman, and I'm trying to think of how it came up. Anyway, she was discussing her kids go to a private school in Montgomery County, and she said it would be great to do a topic. She didn't say it this way, but we kind of got to this, is that it would be great to do a topic around the competitiveness of these private schools. And I think she's in a similar boat that you are. Like they have like some family money, or they got some, so they were able to send their kids there. But she said the competitiveness of academics amongst
Oh my
these
gosh.
kids and materialism is, she said, it's unbelievable.
It is insane. I don't buy the girls a lot of designer stuff because they're teenagers. They don't need it. And I'm lucky that the girls haven't really wanted that. But like for Christmas, Sophie wanted Lululemon. She wanted Lululemon, flared groove pants and defined jacket, because that's what all the cool girls wear. They wear Lululemon every single day. That's a $300 outfit for a 12-year-old. So it's like I did it for Christmas, but now it made, like, she wears the same outfit 3 times a week because it made her feel so good. But I'm like, this is ridiculous. And oh my gosh, applying for high schools, which I'm doing now for Sam, it is like getting into college. It's insane. We have interviews this week where they have to interview not just the child, but they interview the parents, the family, to see
To
like,
say what? I mean, it's so
they
crazy.
want to know, how do we volunteer in our community? And oh my gosh, one of the schools, I was filling out Sam's application, and hopefully they don't listen, because the part that Sam's supposed to answer herself, I actually wrote for her because she was at school and it was the deadline and I had to get it done. But one of the questions was, what are your guiding principles in life? And how do your most cherished values run your day-to-day decisions? Like, she is 14. What are her defining principles in life? Can I just pay you money to teach my kid and that be the end of it?
God, that's so fucking crazy.
Isn't that nuts?
This is why, like, at least to start, I'm like, my kids are not going to private school. I can't, like, it's just like they're going to public school. It's why we pay insane amounts of taxes everywhere we all live. I went to
I
public school. I
know.
loved public school. And now I get it at high school. I get, and you guys are in this really lucky position, but I don't know. This is just so crazy.
It's
And
insane.
I always wonder, I mean, I don't know if there's been any studies, but you almost wonder, like, I don't know, is it helpful to the kids? Does it set them up for better things going to private school? Does it hurt them? I don't know. Like, does that all this
I don't know.
competitiveness when they're 16 and 17, it's like, is this good for you? I don't know.
I don't know. One of the schools, I was talking with the dean of the school they're in now, asking him, because I'm not from here. I don't know a lot of the schools in the DMV, what schools he thought Sam would be good at, because Sam is an introvert and she's shy, but she's also incredibly driven. The kid has never had less than an A on her report card ever. And it almost causes her anxiety. She's such a perfectionist about her academics. So he and I were talking, and he was saying one of the schools, I think it was like Potomac Day School, maybe where like the Obama kids went. And he said, that school is a pressure cooker. The kids go to school all day long, and then they do 5 to 6 hours of homework a night
No,
to
that's
prepare them for college. I'm like, that's insane. Like, she would die because she would think she had to get straight A's. She would be doing 7 hours of homework. Like, they're in high school. This is their last few years to be kids. Why are we doing this to them? So I took that school off the list.
good for
But
you. Good for
then
you.
you want them to get into a good college. And it's like, oh, a lot of these kids go on to Ivy League colleges. And now colleges are so competitive and hard to get in. And then the job market after college. If they go to a better college, will she get a better job? It's just, I drive myself crazy thinking about, okay, well, maybe if I send her to a great private school, then she'll get into a great college, then she'll get a great job, is the thought process. But I don't know. I'm also a
I
little scared of public school because my mom sent me to the same private school from kindergarten all the way to 12th grade, like a teeny tiny Christian private school, because she said I would end up doing drugs and having sex if I went to public school, is what she thought, which just waited until I was college then to
yes.
do drugs and have sex. But so I do have a fear of the unknown because I never went there. And oh my gosh, are my kids going to turn into little goth kids that are, smoking pot behind the school and giving hand jobs in, the locker room if I send them to public school? Will
Okay,
that
well, you and
happen?
I have both been 16, and we know they're doing that at private school and public
This
school,
is
and
true.
they're doing it every school in America. It's, it's like the great relationship you have with your kids, that open communication, that they feel like they don't have to lie to you, and that you prepare them to make good decisions, because there are going to be kids that want them to make bad decisions. But I think my parents always were like, do not ever get in a car with someone that's drinking and driving. We don't care. Call us. If they're doing drugs, call us. Like it. And so then when you see that behavior, you're like, that voice sticks in the back of your head, like, no, don't do it. Don't do it. And then, you make good choices. And I mean, and they're going to be exposed to kids that their parents have a lot of money, don't care what they do, don't care that they do drugs, and they got to be able to go, that's not the life I want. Because those kids, it's going to be such a hard road for them.
No, you're so right. You're so right. And I was talking about this on another episode, the downside of these private schools that the girls, we're lucky enough that Peter left us with enough money that I can send them to the best private schools. But, a lot of the kids are these white elitist super rich kids, and it's a bubble that the girls are in, and they're not seeing, all of the different colored skin tones and all of the different, incomes of families. I grew up super poor, and I feel like that made me such a better person. And the girls are completely unaware of what life is like outside of their, Montgomery County bubble. So,
Well, they're going to
gosh,
find
I
out
don't
when they
know.
go to college. They'll be exposed to all kinds of kids of different backgrounds. But I agree with you. I love that about school too. And that's something important to us. Like this year, we're going to start looking like to buy a house in LA. And it's like, I want my kids to go to a school where it's diverse, where there's kids of all different colors. There are rich kids. There are kids that don't have anything, because that's the real world. Yes, some kids are born and raised in Beverly Hills and that's it. But I mean, that's such a tiny group of people compared to everybody else in the world, And yeah, I want my kids to have friends of all different colors, It's like,
Mhm.
so I know what you mean. It's hard.
Yeah, man. I started off this saying how confident I was and it's okay to make parenting mistakes. And now I'm
There
leaving
has to
this
be.
episode going, oh my God, I'm going to mess up their lives if I choose wrong.
No, you are not. You will not. You will not. It's you and Sam. You and Sam are going to feel it. You're going to apply to the school. She's going to get in. You guys are going to go. And it's like, what feels good to both of you? What looking around at the students, like, what's their attitude? Yeah. If the faculty and everybody's attitude is we're so elite and we do 18 hours of work a day, I'm with you. No, thanks. Best of luck to you.
It was
But I
so
don't want to do
different for
that.
us. I never did a lot of homework. I did the bare minimum to still get good grades. I did maybe if I was really committed, maybe an hour and a half of homework if I had a big test. But 5 to 6 hours of
No,
homework, can
that's
you
insane.
imagine?
No, absolutely not. I didn't even do, I mean, maybe when I got college was the hardest. College was
Yeah.
really hard. I actually had to really study. That was part of I hated about Mount Holyoke. Too much work.
You had to actually start
Like,
studying.
I want to talk on the radio. I don't want to do this shit. Like this.
Oh my gosh. So speaking of the like upper 3% elitist, tell me about what you thought about the Prince Harry book,
Well,
The
I
Royal
it's
Life.
Spare is out today. I don't think I'm going to buy the book because I think he's probably told us everything that's kind of juicy already.
Hmm.
But I did think when I've been watching I started to watch the Meghan and Harry documentary over the holiday, and I've watched the 60 Minutes interview with him. I actually correlated it a little bit to you and I telling our story and the backlash that we got. If people like, why are you still bringing this up? And I really related to him in the 60-minute interview because, of course, he still has so many questions surrounding the death of his mom. Like, did the paparazzi cause it? Was the guy drunk on purpose? How long was she still alive? Like after and so I'm just like, I totally related to his, and, he's telling all these family secrets, right? From a perspective. For years, they put out an image, much like we did on the Kane show, that we're a family, everything is great, we're besties, oh my God, we love each other, everybody's normal, everyone. And of course, behind the scenes, it's a different stakes for Harry, but there was like all this crap going on. And the same thing, like, Prince Harry's talking about the royal family feeding stories against each other. But, we ended up all inner fighting at the Kane show. We all ratted out each other all the time and gossiped about each other all the time. And so I related, and I thought of us, and I thought, for Harry, good for you that you're telling your story. I think people are a little over it because I think they've just sort of flooded everybody with, they just did the documentary. He's just dropped a book. There was an announcement, I think 2 weeks ago. Now Meghan's writing a book. It's like, I think it's all about timing. And you know what I think you and I did, and Prince Harry should have consulted us, is I think our timing was great. Our timing was great coming back together and you telling your story for the first time. And I think you should always speak up for your truth like he's doing, but it's about timing. And I think Meghan and Harry's timing's a little off.
No, I agree with you. I go back and forth. At first, I was very Team Harry, and I always kind of had a crush on him. And I was so excited for him to get away and for both of them to do like the Oprah interview and finally tell his truth. But I have to admit, and maybe this is hypocritical of me because I still talk about my story all the time, but like with the 60 Minutes interview and with the excerpts that we're hearing from the book, I kind of feel like, oh my gosh, stop talking about it. Like you're getting to be a little whiny. When he talks about Diana, anything about the death of Diana, when he talks about his own mental health struggles, keep going. Like, tell it to the world, especially when he talks about mental health, because that's helping somebody else. But like the juicy, gossipy details, he said something about that his dad did the other day. I can't remember what it was, but it's like, there's no high purpose for this. You're not helping somebody else who's in a royal family and is being shamed by their future King of England dad. So it comes across a little whiny to me, a little, I'm over it. How many times are you going to do this? But you know what else
Everybody
grates me and makes me feel that way is that then they ask him, have you spoken to your dad recently? Would you like to repair the relationship with them? And he always goes, I miss my brother and my father. I would love to repair that. And the door is always open. Like, what do you think is going to happen when you keep putting out the juicy details of your family's life, who hates that you're doing this? I mean, do you think that's going to mend fences? And then they're going to call you and go, yeah, let's hang out. Let's have a chat. So you can put it in your next book. That's the part that grates on me. Like, you got to expect the negativity that you're gonna piss some people off if you talk about it. I mean, we pissed some people off.
Yeah, we're still pissing people off that we're together. Yeah, and but for me, like, one of the things is obviously, like, I had a non-disclosure agreement when Kane and I exited. So, and of course, Kane was still alive. So we know, like, if I had said anything in my life, oh my God, he would have hounded me. It would have been awful. So I had this like grace period of years of like being angry, still in therapy, like mourning it, all those things. And then, so I think when I finally could start to tell the story, it gave it enough time. And I'm with you. I think that's the part that's very confusing about what Meghan and Harry are trying to do. Are they trying to really repair it? Because if they were, then you'd move here to the United States and you'd probably give it a year or two where you're calling, like we said, picking up the phone, calling them, going there, trying to repair it. Maybe it's not repairable. And maybe, like, he seems to think they don't, unless you play their game, they don't want you in. And that very well might be it. But it's just been so, like, You're right. Here are all the details. My brother and I were really never close. My brother told me in high school he didn't want to hang out with me. Okay. Well, as the older sibling, and I have a younger sibling, and my brother and I are like the same ages as Will and Harry.
Mm-hmm.
In high school, I said the same thing to my brother. I didn't want my brother hang out with me. You're in high school. It's like, that's older sibling, younger sibling. Does Sam and Soph like to hang out together in
Oh my
school?
gosh, they're best friends, worst enemies. But no, they absolutely, like Sam will be like, no, don't talk to my friends. Don't hang out with my friends. They're my class and my friends. You're a seventh grader. But
So that
and
comes
maybe
comes
this
off
is a
whiny.
little like soapbox or preachy of me, but I feel like with you and I, one, it's like we had this period where we couldn't speak. I couldn't say anything either because he would take the girls away from me. He did sue me for the speaking out when he was still alive. So we couldn't say anything. And then, he passed away and we waited a full year before coming out and doing, our interview. And we did it in that, and then it was kind of done in a sense of like telling all the juicy stuff, the behind the scenes stuff about the show, the stories that yes, I wanted to tell because they really happened to me, but maybe they don't, necessarily save somebody else's life. Like we did that and that's done. When we continue to talk about it, I think I speak for both of us when I say we try to always put it through the lens of, is this going to help someone else? Like when Harry talks about his mental health struggles, that really helps other people that are going through the same thing. When you or I speak about what happened to us, when I speak about the abuse that I went through, that helps another woman who's going through it. But listen, I have a million juicy, juicy Kane show stories that I could get a lot of attention for telling. I could get probably a lot more followers for a short amount of time if I start spilling all the gossip. But what good does that do? What good does that do anybody? And maybe it makes me feel good for a minute to finally get revenge, but there's no like higher purpose for that. So I kind of feel like he's doing that a bit. Like he told the story about when he got in the fight with his brother and his brother, like physically shoved him or something. It's like, what? Why? Why do you need to say that if you're trying to repair the relationship with your brother?
Also, I think what bothers me about this whole interview, and I think look, you've been in therapy a long time. You've done the work in AA. When you're in therapy and you people react to the way William is reacting about Megan, I'm sure there's a sense of fear that he was going to lose his brother, which is exactly what has happened. I think because Americans are outsiders to British, especially British royals, I'm sure that she was such a threat in being a mixed race woman and an actress from the United States, and
A
she's got her own
divorcee.
divorcee. I'm like, to me, I think that's what's lacking is like, I get that, Camilla leaks all these, or, all these, this is like the game that they play, right?
Yeah.
But I think under that, it's like the saddest part is what you hate to see is two brothers against themselves. Cause I think William probably feared like this woman is going to take him away. And that's exactly what happened. And instead of trying to have a therapy session, although I guess Prince Harry says that they've tried to
I
reach
mean,
out,
that
but I
is
don't know.
sad. I love everything about the royal family. I watch every season of The Crown. I watch every documentary about Diana that I can find. I'm reading her book right now. That one interview that she gave in the book that came out and kind of started the everything going public about Camilla and the marriage and everything. So it makes me so sad to think about how sad she would be to see that her two boys that she gave everything for, that she loved more than anything, are so separated and have almost no relationship really anymore. And I don't know if it'll be fixed. And I wonder if they think about that. I wonder if they ever think about, this would really make my mom sad. Maybe that's a bigger priority than putting out another book, doing another interview. Or for William, maybe that's a bigger priority than, you know, that this is not the way of how it's done in the British royal family, the etiquette of it. And he could reach out to his brother because that's what their mom would want. And I love Diana. I adore her and everything about her. So that part makes me sad.
I know. Oh my God. She was like class act. I mean, like no other. I know. Yeah, it's interesting to watch, but I think people have hit their tipping point of like I think they were all in and supporting Meghan and Harry, and then I think you're seeing like
Yeah.
serious,
And she
backlash.
just annoys me. She grates on me. Megan does.
A lot of people feel that way.
I feel like it's a little it's a little fake. It's a little surfacey with her. Maybe I'm just jealous though, because she met Harry before I did.
No, it's something I know. It's a little. I know. Because
She it's a little disingenuine, right?
yeah, there's something there because I watched the documentary. I only got through like 4 episodes. It was so boring. The first 3 were just so boring. It was all the same stuff that they talked about on Oprah. Nothing really new. And I don't know. Yeah, there's something like I think because maybe she's an actress, so like you're used to like being somebody else. I don't know. It's hard to I think yeah, there's something like a little put on, I guess. There's
Yeah.
not a sense of like I don't know. You feel like I kind of thought she'd be more of like this girl that you kind of could sit and have a
Yeah.
drink
Well,
with.
like
Or, I
when
don't know.
Harry
She wasn't.
speaks, you just feel like it's really coming from his heart. It's unfiltered. And with her, it just seems a little more staged-ish.
Yeah.
But oh my gosh, if she comes out with a book, I think people will revolt. They will be so over it if she does it too.
Let's see when her book. I'm sure. I'm sure
It
they're pushing that.
is she having a book? Is that a real thing?
Let's look. Um, there was a story.
I did
Megan
feel for
Markle.
her when everything about her dad was coming out. That was pretty shitty, and then I felt for her. And even like the wedding and stuff, I still was team Megan, probably also because she was a divorcee and here she was getting to be a princess. But then I don't know, maybe around the Oprah interview I started to be like, you're a little preachy. You seem a little unappreciative of what you've fallen into.
The part I've always said that I don't buy about their story is this thing where, they kind of thought like she'd be accepted and the press would like love her. And I'm like, guys, come on. I mean, this is an American married like Kate. The thing that works about Kate Middleton, I always say, is like you look at the way Kate Middleton dresses, acts. Kate Middleton was groomed to do this since she was 10 years old, and to me she dresses so plain because then the clothes don't bring attention. Nothing brings attention. All the focus is on him and the being royal and being prim and proper, right? That's the reality of what they are. So I just don't believe like Meghan and Harry where they're like they thought they were gonna like come in and everybody was gonna love her. And no, they don't like Americans. They want you to be bred in this like royal, way. And you're a little bit behind your man. And it's just like, that's the part that they're like, I'm like, all right, guys, come
Maybe
on.
they
Nobody
planned the
believes this
whole
shit.
thing.
I know.
You
I'm trying
know,
to look at
he
her
was kind of
book.
fed up with the royal family already. So maybe they plotted out this whole elaborate ruse.
All right, let me look. I can't find it, but there was a whole thing on her release date. But yeah, she's gonna have a book too. Meghan Markle to release her own bombshell memoir after Harry's spare.
Uh,
According to the Mail, the Duchess of Sussex said to be contemplating getting entirely candid about her time in the royal limelight and leaving no stone unturned. I would find it surprising if Meghan didn't publish her own story, to be honest. Well, let's see, but that doesn't say that she's definitely getting a book deal or she
what
has a
else is she gonna say? What other bombshells is she gonna drop that they haven't dropped already? Because I'm with you. When I tried watching the documentary, like the newest one of the two of them, it was so boring. And I love everything royal. And it was just like, okay,
I know.
enough.
I know. Oh my God. I cannot believe it's taking me this long. Sorry. Okay. So it sounds like maybe she's floating the idea as the world.
If it's anything like her podcast, then maybe I'll read it to go to sleep at night because
Sounds like she was
pretty
looking
dull.
at a similar deal. Yeah, I
Hmm.
agree.
Well, when she's listening to our podcast, Megan, take some advice here. Say no.
Yeah, and come be on our show. We'll be on what is it? Is it Archwell or something? What's hers? You know, we'd love to be on. We're happy to give you our advice, what's worked and what hasn't. Not that you don't have a bunch of A-list advice from Oprah. All right, Natasha, where do people follow you?
You can follow me on at Miss Pink Monster on Instagram, at Miss Pink Monster, and that's MS Pink Monster on TikTok, which, oh my gosh, Sarah, TikTok. I'm trying so hard to figure it out because Instagram drives me nuts, but
Instagram.
Oh my gosh, the girls have me now like searching trending audios and then like trying to redo the funny videos. TikTok makes me feel old and like a fool. But if you want to see me look like a fool trying out the new TikTok trends, like these teenagers in my house, then go check out my TikTok. I think I have like 30 followers, so would love to have you. And then on YouTube, youtube.com, it's at like the at symbol, Ms. Pink Monster, and that's where you can find all of the podcasts, our previous podcasts with our beautiful faces, and also all of the old videos that the girls and I used to put up when they were little, and we used to do YouTube before Instagram and everything. Those are all still on there too. They're pretty funny.
All right, guys, at the Sarah Fraser Show, we will see you next week. Bye. Bye.